Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much, Arunima, for joining us today. I was just talking to the students about you, and thank you so much, especially given that it's a national cohort. And for the round of formal introductions, like I said, I'll just switch off my video very quickly because of the constant dysfunctional issues that I'm facing with respect to the technical glitch, and then we'll switch it on post the introductions are done. Okay. Uh, Arunima is a distinguished lawyer practicing before the Bombay High Court. She's known for her sharp legal acumen and strategic counseling. With an impressive portfolio, she's represented icons like Virat Kohli and Shah Rukh Khan, combining discretion with excellence in high-stakes legal matters. Arunima is also a future TEDx speaker. She's a holder of MBA in finance. I think that's ongoing, Arunima. If there is any error or correction, you can always correct me. Arunima, I personally feel you bring a rare blend of legal insight and financial expertise. Okay. Already posted this introduction on the group as well, but you enjoy a 100K plus following. You have a fantastic newsletter, and you've been a tremendous sort of an inspiration for a lot of students, a lot of women, especially who are starting out in their career. We're just having the discussion that day, or when are you going to take interns? And because a lot of the students, the last time you came in for a session like this was the open floor, and I'm glad that session turned out to be so beautiful. Wanted to sort of see if there were places open for internships. But that's the kind of demeanor you carry. That's the kind of skill set that you have. And I'm really looking forward to this inspiring session with you. Thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday evening. To all the students also, if joining, these are some of the brightest students that we've managed to filter out over the course of last 2 3 months. Most of them here are on a merit basis. Some of them are from a recommendation by the Legal 40 unit. And thank you so much for joining us today and taking out your time. I'll pass on the baton to you now, and you can take the session forward.
Thank you, Nishan, for having me here. And it's an honor to be part of anything which is, prepared or hosted by you. That being said, I'm very excited to be part of this national cohort. This is, I think, for the first time I'm seeing something like this on a national platform. Otherwise, we've seen moot courts or we have seen more like, where students are coming and discussing with their practical skills. But I haven't come across something like this. So it's interesting. Let me begin by saying this topic. So let me share my screen once. Just let me know once my screen is visible to you guys.
Sure. I hope there are no restrictions. It is allowing you to share the screen.
Just a second. There's an issue today with I think with
No worries, I'm just checking your presentation. So let's say if you cannot share it or you're facing any trouble, I'll just share it on my part, okay? I
yeah,
already have
if
the.
you can if you can share, that will be helpful.
Okay, okay, just give me a minute. Yeah, so I am opening your presentation and I'll just share it in a minute, okay?
Yeah.
Do you want me to open the PDF version or the presentation version or any of it works?
I think any of it works.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. By the way, I have to give credit. What a fantastic presentation. I really, really love the colors and everything. It's very fancified. Yeah, and the
Yeah,
topic also sort of makes a lot of sense in that respect.
I didn't want it to be the monotonous, boring topic because these are students. So I don't want it to, be like a lecture where people feel they are forced to attend this.
Yeah.
So okay, I think this is something that has been quite inspirational and quite interesting, at least to me in the last few months, because this is where I've been researching a lot, and also seeing a lot of trends on Snapchat and Instagram, where there is a digital avatar which wears Gucci sneakers, attends concerts, buys real estate, and has a fashion closet which is bigger than our real one. The world exists and it's called metaverse. And today we are going to understand not just what it is, but how the fashion world and the law are chasing to keep up. So let me start by explaining to you what is metaverse. If we can go to the next slide.
Yes, just a minute. Yeah. Can you see the next slide?
Yes, yes,
Or-
it's visible. Thank you. So let's break it down. Like I'm trying, let me make it simpler for you. Metaverse is a giant digital universe. So think of it a universe where you do not have stars or galaxies, but it is built on virtual reality. It is augmented reality, and you have artificial intelligence and blockchain. So, something which is a mega online game or a social network where you don't just post photos, you live a second life. That's metaverse for you. So, you can create an avatar that looks just like you or not, and dress it up, walk around in 3D spaces, attend events, buy things, and earn digital money. And so there are typically two kinds of metaverses. The one is centralized, other is decentralized. So when I say centralized, it is controlled by one company. So think of Meta, which is your Facebook. You have Roblox or you have Fortnite. So they control what happens on their platform. If I talk about decentralized metaverse, so it's not just one user, it runs on a blockchain. So where users have more power than the company or the platform. So think of Decentraland or the sandbox, where everybody is given some sort of a power. So in a real world, fashion is an identity. I mean, it's not just an identity. Let me put it. It's a culture. It's business, and same applies in metaverse. So people are here today spending real money to buy clothes for their avatars, and this concept is called virtual fashion. You would have seen Burberry or Prada, Gucci, even on Snapchat. So these aren't just for fun items. They are assets. Some are even tied to NFTs, which means they are rare and you can resell them. Example, Gucci. So Gucci sold a digital handbag recently for more. The value was more than what it gets in the real world of fashion. If we go to the next slide, which is NFTs and virtual fashion. Okay. So let's understand what is NFT. NFT stands for non-fungible token. So very, very fancy word and very seems very difficult. But basically, it's a digital certificate of ownership for something which is unique, which is rare. So it's not something that is available to everybody. If I buy an NFT, that won't be available to you. Simple. It lives on blockchain. If I have to explain blockchain, it's a secure public database. Okay. So if you buy an NFT of a jacket, let's say for your avatar, you own that exact design. So it's not like copying a photo, it's the original. If I buy something, it belongs to me. You cannot buy something which is similar or same in appearance. Now, today you would have seen virtual fashion. you would have seen your avatars who, where you can buy clothes. They just like how we dress up for our college events or Instagram, people dress up their avatars for digital spaces. And I haven't seen that so much in India, but at least in the US landscape, people are using platforms like Decentraland, Roblox, or Snapchat, Bitmoji. And they wear virtual sneakers, they wear dresses, they wear bags, etc., which are bought with real money. And the core of these virtual fashion is, so one, you have a personalization. So it's not like something which is generic over there. You have the option to personalize it. So you can pick up a style, something that matches your vibe. Okay. Second is it's very scarce. So only a few people may own it. That means it is valuable. So it's not available to everybody. Third is interactivity. Now, some outfits, they move, they sparkle, or they change with actions. And why is it popular, if you may ask? See, it is trending, it's fun, and it is a way to show a status in the digital world that, yes, I am having certain money, or I have certain level, certain, I have certain status in the society. And just like, a real sneaker will drop in real life, virtual drops also sell out and resell. So you will find them on discount. You will find certain reusable, something that I would have bought and now I'm reselling it. So I could choose to drop my price, drop the price of that particular product. That's also there. Nishank, if we move to the next slide. These are the laws which are in the US and India. So right now I've taken only two countries. Reason being, this is exact opposite to each other. Plus, US is a very volatile the country right now because there is a lot of change being brought in. And so I thought it will be more relevant to compare it with the US instead of going to any other common law country where, our laws will be very similar to what they are already following. Now, what laws govern metaverse fashion, if you may ask? See, in copyright, you have your US Copyright Act, which is your DMCA. In India, you have the Copyright Act of 1957. When we move to the trademark law, you have the Lanham Act, which is again in the US, and in India, we have Trademarks Act of 1999. For the NFT and the blockchain, now this is again evolving and case driven in US. This is not something which is fixed or they have a mother statute over there yet. They're also seeing, they're also trying to explore what kind of cases are coming in, what is really happening in that zone. And in India, there is no final framework yet. When we talk about enforcement, how do I enforce these laws? Now, DMCA issues notices. This could be civil notices and there could also be lawsuits that they may file. And in India, we are seeing you have your IT rules, you have your IP Act, you have your court orders, and then you have your specific criminal law, which also, takes care of your breach or infringement of someone's IP. Now, if we talk about copyright in metaverse fashion, these are the laws. What happens when there is a copyright in metaverse fashion? If someone creates, let's say, a digital jacket or an artwork or an accessory, which is somebody else's original creation. Okay, let's say you designed something, let's say Nishank designed something, and I copied it. So the creation is again protected by copyright, just like music and art. And he has the option to sue me under the law. And copying that design across platform without permission would mean that I'm infringing upon his legal right. Now, what are the risks that I should watch for? Many avatars here are a mix of pre-built templates and some are user-made edits. So who owns it in reality? So let's say if someone copies your virtual design and uses it in another platform, there is still not a clear enforcement. How do I, bring a lawsuit or sue that person for infringement? Therefore, creators are today, they must license their work properly across different platforms where you are using the same digital avatar, or if you have created something new, then you should license it with that platform. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Now, let's say you are playing in a digital world where your avatar is wearing something that looks like Gucci jacket. But it's not really made by Gucci. You bought it from someone who made it look like exactly like Gucci. So, will there be a legal problem? Yes, of course. What would be the legal problem? Well, it's a trademark. And why does it matter? When it's in metaverse, right? I'm not really copying anybody's original material in the real world. I've just taken inspiration and designed something on Snapchat, let's say. But the trademark is a brand's identity, right? Its logo, its name, its product look, all of that is protected by trademark. Just like how Nike's, you would have seen Nike's swoosh, the that comes in the ads, or you would have seen Hermes's Birkin bag, which are iconic in real life. They also hold value in the virtual world. So it's not like something that because it is not in real world, they don't have legal rights. So in the metaverse, when users are making virtual versions of any brand which exists in reality without permission, it creates a brand confusion. So people might think that the bag which was created as Gucci's replica is legit or is endorsed by the brand, even when it is not. Now, there was a real case. This was Meta Birkin versus Hermes's. This was one of the most famous trademark battle that happened in the metaverse fashion. So there was an artist who was named Mason Rothschild, okay, and he created a Meta Birkin NFT, which was a digital version of Hermes's famous Birkin bag, but more furrier and more funkier. So he said that they were art and he sold them as NFTs. When Hermes came to know about it, they sued him, saying that it was a trademark infringement, and the courts agreed because even digital replicas can infringe your real world brand. So in the virtual world, when you are copying a brand, it can lead to legal consequences. Now, if I talk about India, India has certain trademark challenges, especially when it comes to something like this, which is a virtual fashion or virtual brand created. In India, we do not yet have a trademark class for virtual goods. So that means a brand cannot always register their digital asset in the same way as they do it in the US. There is a gap because when infringement happens, legal enforcement becomes tricky, especially if the platform is decentralized, where I told you the big thing that centralized means the platform will have their own rights. Decentralized would mean every user will have individual rights. So there is no central owner to it. And when we talk about passing off, as you would have read in your trademark laws, even if you do not register a trademark, you can still sue somebody under the common law of passing off, right? Which means that if somebody is pretending that it's your brand, so if I'm passing it off as my own, so Gucci, not created by me, I'm passing it off as something which has been created by me. But proving this in a digital world, which is anonymous, cross-border platforms, it's a big headache. So this is where we need a very stringent law, a very strict statute, a very uniform one. And what can the brands do to protect themselves in the metaverse, if you may ask? See, they have to proactively register their trademarks in a digital related classes. So let's say in the US, if you're registering in class 9, 35, or 41, you also have to register under the same classes for your virtual fashion. You also have to monitor platforms let's say you have OpenSea or Sandbox or Roblox. So you have to monitor and see where your asset is being utilized, where is it being licensed, is there somebody who's copying it, and then you have to draft clear policies. This is for the platforms. You have to draft clear policies when it comes to licensing something like which is a digital asset, especially when entering collabs, right? I mean, if today Instagram chooses to have a digital asset and some influencer wants to collab, then you need to have a clear policy how you will, what kind of guidelines will cover you, what all disclosures you have to make, and what will be the onus of both the brand and the influencer, so to say. Nishant, if we move to the next part. Okay, this is something I have already explained to you. If we move to the next. Okay, I think one of the uh, common dilemma which is there in when it comes to NFT or digital asset is, where is my courtroom? Which courtroom can I sue in? I mean, metaverse doesn't have borders, it's on virtual space, right? It's digital. So let's say you created something in Dubai. I'm using it in India. That's where I infringe your right. So still there is no border. So where do you sue me? There is no country, no fixed address. There is no local police station. So when there is a fight, who actually solves it? I mean, in the real world, if somebody steals your design or misuses your brand, you go to the court, right? But in a virtual world, it becomes very hard to even figure out who did it, where are they from, which law will apply, where can I file a case? These are some basic core challenges. And let's say your virtual fashion NFT gets copied in another platform. So, for example, there is somebody called Moon Knight 999. That's the only handle that you know, and you don't know who the person is. You don't know where the person lives. You don't even know the real name of this Moon Knight 999. Now they have infringed and copied your digital asset. So, NFTs are usually stored in digital wallets, but the wallets don't have name. So anyone can create a wallet and they can vanish. And the problem here, the challenge here is, how do you prove who is liable? Second, which court has the jurisdiction? I mean, if my rights are violated in metaverse owned by a US company, but the offender, let's say, is in Korea somewhere, and my brand is registered in India, which court will hear my case and where exactly will the jurisdiction be? You know, again, when we talk about metaverse, takedowns are very difficult. It's not like YouTube, where you put similar infringing material, where Google tells you to take down your material if it is infringing, or it is similar to some music already been copyrighted, it will take it down. It's not like that, because in a centralized platform like, let's say, Meta's Horizon or Roblox, right? You can still issue a DMCA notice because everything is owned and controlled by one company. So if somebody has infringed my content, I still can reach out to Meta and say, hey, Moon Knight 999, this is the account. I had created this, has copied my asset. So DMCA will issue a notice to them. But in a decentralized landscape, which is like for example, Decentraland, right? There is no central control, there is no central boss, so to say. So for you to carry out that takedown procedure, it's more like a community driven process where you call people, ask for help, and it's very vague. Again, when we talk about cross-border disputes, so traditionally when IP laws were created, they weren't designed for digital fashion, NFTs, or avatars, right? I mean, we see Indian courts use IT Act or Copyright Act to handle such traditional things, but they don't rely on online enforcement. So there is a limitation when it comes to metaverse, when it comes to NFT, when it comes to virtual assets. And you know, again, if we move to the next slide, Nishank. Now, I've given examples of fashion in metaverse. These are some of the games where you see fashionable avatars where you can. So Decentraland has high fashion NFTs. Sandbox again has pixel fashion and limited drops. Stepin has NFT sneakers and fitness tokens, and you have these two other brands, AW22 and DressX, which are again futuristic textures. They have NFT runway. You have NFT fashion for AR selfies, art resale. Um, Now, if we move to the next slide. So the jurisdiction and the enforcement dilemmas we already, discussed. I've explained to you that there is no water, there's no clarity. Again, who owns the wallet, which court has the jurisdiction, who serves the takedown. These are all questions which are still very vague, very ambiguous, and there is no clear answer to it. Um, Now you may ask, you know, um, what can okay, before I explain to, get into the key steps for brands and lawyers, let's talk about what US and India are doing or not doing, perhaps. See, US at least have certain clarity because they have the DMCA, which gives a platform a safe harbor from liability. So they do act on takedown notices. There are court cases where I just told you, Meta Birkin, right? That helps build case law. India is still relying on IT rules, criminal IP law, and Copyright Act. So there is no metaverse specific regulation. Enforcement for us is still patchy, and the courts are still preferring physical evidence and known parties, right? So if you have to go for a John Doe order, even in that scenario, you need a physical evidence. Um, Enforcement is not impossible, just complex. So you can still send a takedown notice or contact a blockchain platform like that are OpenSea or Rarible to report fakes. And you can use your own terms, the terms and conditions of the platform smartly if you've gone through it. I mean, I understand it's boring. I mean, it's legalese, but it can definitely save your brand in the court. But the bigger challenge here is, the speed and scale, because digital violations happen very fast and the laws are very slow. By the time you're able to secure an order in your favor, chances are your rights are already infringed and it's out there. It's the person who has infringed your right has already benefited from it. Okay. Um, all right. So let's go to let's okay, just stay on the next slide, last slide, sorry. Now, there are certain action that you can take as a lawyer. I mean, you have to get real when it comes to digital asset infringement. It is not a wait and watch situation anymore. You have your brands, you have your creators, who are also involving or endorsing such digital assets. So as lawyers, you have to be proactive. Now, there are certain things that I like to call as toolkit when it comes to advising a brand or dreaming of becoming the next big metaverse IP lawyer. You have to first register your trademark in the right class, okay? Especially for digital goods and virtual services. So you have to register in the right class. These are some of the classes which is there in the USPTO. You have to draft very clear IP clauses. So if you are collaborating with digital artists or avatar creators, you need contracts that say who owns what, can the work be reused across platforms, and what happens if it is copied. And you have to use smart contracts wisely. So you have to embed your royalties, you have to rescale restrictions, and even a jurisdiction when it comes to your NFT. or NFT code. You have to, again, another thing that you have to do is monitor platforms like a hawk. So you have to keep an eye on NFT marketplaces like OpenSea, Super Rare, Rarible, Decentraland for any sort of infringement. You have to keep checking if there is something similar which has been posted there. And you have to use tools or services that track wallet activity for some sort of copycat. Before launching any digital collection, please check if you unknowingly copy someone else's protected avatar design, sound, or look. That's important. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide. Now, what India needs to do, because the current laws weren't written with blockchain, smart contracts, or NFTs. So we need to future-proof our legal system. Here's some things that I would recommend as a policy roadmap. Uh, when we talk about legal reforms, India should consider to expand Copyright Act to explicitly include avatars, NFTs, and NFT-based assets, AI-generated content, create dedicated guidelines for NFTs, and also explain who owns what happens to how do you track royalties, what happens when there is a resale, what is the interagency, can there be an interagency force that can be created to protect digital rights, for example. Can you involve the Ministry of IT, Copyright Office, blockchain and data expert? Can that be done? And there should be a virtual dispute resolution framework. Way The way I look at it, I mean, if there is a cross-border infringement, we need a very quick solution to this, and this could be and there should be a dedicated tribunal for digital violations. That now this can be an online IP tribunal, just like how you attend NCLT hearings, something of that sort. If we talk about what is the future of metaverse and where is it all going, if we go to the next slide. Okay, let's dream a little now, because here's what already happening, and here's where we are headed. See, tech innovation is already out there. You are already, there are clothes you can virtually try using AR filters before buying them in reality. Uh, you can design your own fashion line without sewing a stitch and sell it online via NFTs. When I talk about gaming, fashion, fitness, you already have apps which gives you certain cryptos if you walk a certain step, and they allow you to even buy digital sneakers. Okay, your gaming avatar becomes a runway model. Your fashion choices online also affect popularity in the real world. So that is all happening. And again, art meets wearability. So wearable art pieces like in AR and VR will be new luxury, where scarcity and symbolism would mean status. And so when we talk about, the real social currency, we have virtual style. Digital clothes are becoming part of how you are perceived in real life. And virtual identities carry influence, power, and profit. So, that if you're planning to be the next law firm partner, may not be in suits, but in hoodies, right? So advising global clients on smart contract disputes from your home office, you're not just you're not just thinking about the future law, you're also thinking as future lawyers, your future leaders in space where law, tech, culture, commerce all collide, and the world is already hiring for that role. So let's redefine what it means to be fashion. Let's challenge what it means to protect creativity, and let's not wait for the laws to catch up. Let's help them to let's help to write them. So, any question? Anybody?
Yeah, hi. We will take questions. I can already see hands. What a wonderful session. I'm going to stop sharing. That was quite well put, and there are a lot of interesting insights in that presentation. I'll share that presentation in the group also with you. to everyone who was a part of this. We'll take the questions in the specific orders of the hands being raised. If you have a question and let's say your hand is not raised or I cannot see your hand, your question is not answered, please ask it in the chat, okay? And Arnama, thank you so much. There was really well put. I like the fact about how you talked about what India also needs to do, something which is related to the cohort at hand. We've been talking about legislation, policy, and whether it's respect to the digital avatars, smart contracts, or AI generated works. What even in the sense of legislation, right? We had a detailed conversation with people coming in from both the ministry and the minister himself related to IT, talking about how advancements need to be undertaken within the DPDP Act itself. I like your recommendation on the interagency NFT task force. Probably if anybody has any questions related to that. And also, thank you so much for also highlighting the key steps for brand lawyers, right? Whether it is through the smart contracts for resale royalties or the FTO searches. And for a lot of people who do not understand the cross jurisdiction part, I think Arunama is quite an expert in that sense. She's I like the fact that she put in the jurisdiction and the enforcement dilemmas that's always there with respect to especially artificial intelligence. And like I said, really colorful and wonderful PPT. I don't know. I just keep saying that because the presentation strikes quite a note with me. Thank you so much for that also. We'll take the questions now. Is it okay if we go in this order? Urmila, Vaishnavi, Rohit, Amay, Gurleen, and Vidushi? You guys don't mind? Perfect. Urmila, why don't you start first and then we can take on the next question.
Alright. So first of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for the question. Recently I read a news article where it was stated that in India 45% of Indians are not active user of internet. So how relevant are the metaverse fashion copyright issues today? And what is the future scope of it for the legal development compared to the US actually? Because of the fact that in India there is not much internet users. So that's
So, Urmila, the concept of metaverse originated from science fiction novels and films. If you would have heard about The Matrix and Star Trek, right? And if I don't know if you're a big fan of Big Bang Theory, right? If you've seen how, so watch some of the episodes which are there. You would see it is already ahead in time, and this is something which is shot in, if I'm not wrong, 2010 or somewhere, So I'm talking 15 years back. They already had AR gaming, virtual, headsets where they were playing games. They were nerds, right? However, with the development of virtual reality, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and other technologies, the concept of metaverse is gradually moving closer to reality. So, at present, major tech companies around the world are already actively investing in the metaverse. So, for example, Facebook's Horizon Workrooms. It's a collaboration platform that uses virtual space for meetings and events, mainly using virtual reality. Okay. And even if you would have seen, Facebook has officially changed the name to Meta in 2021. So there was this whole wave of metaverse boom and, the Tencent's metaverse initiative, etc. So these companies are seeing metaverse as an important part of the future digital world. So I'm sure it's not like, people, uh, there is no scope for metaverse lawyers. I personally know some of them who are already practicing in this area, and there is a lot of scope for lawyers.
Right, perfect. I think that perfectly answers the question also. And it's quite relevant. It's more than relevant. It's the need of the hour. In fact, a lot of partners that I personally know of, from some of the biggest law firms, not in India, but across the world, have in fact started their own practices with respect to the AI space. AI and Lawby is a great example if any of you want to check that out. It's started by a former Denton partner, and they deal with all of these queries, questions, trying to figure out how the artificial intelligence, how the metaverse is going to sort of take over. Thank you so much for that question, Urmila. Arunama, like always, thank you for that answer. Vaishnavi, we can go next. Yes.
Yeah.
please.
Ma'am, as you rightly pointed out, that the trademark rules right now in India currently don't provide for a subclass for the digital goods under NFTs or the multiverse fashion. But given that the jurisdictions under US allow such marks under, I don't know, I remember reading it to be some class. I'm so sorry, but like under the NIC classifications of the downloadable trademarks, do you think the Indian Trademark Registry should actually issue a official recognition or a subclass so that this addresses the enforcement gap that we have currently and bring more greater clarity for the virtual trademark protection? Or something else similar to this could be done?
Oh, absolutely. We need to have more evolved IP laws, right? Because there is a continuous development of blockchain technology, the design and the application of NFT, space. So NFT virtual fashion will continue to innovate. The current technological innovation that we see, it is more focused on interactivity or wearability of your virtual fashion. Um, I mean, for example, uh, reality and virtual reality technology users are allowed to wear virtual fashion on their own bodies for a more realistic experience. So in future, the scope and application of NFT virtual fashion will continue to expand, especially in social networks, virtual world, or digital games, films, television production. So, and in order to further promote the market value, artistic value of NFT for virtual fashion, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the virtual influencers who are already there on Instagram, who come out, they visit restaurants, and it is all very realistic. And there is an entire PR who's chasing the influencer. They're asking the influencer, "How are you here today? How was your experience?" So it's already there, right? And it's going to be more and more complex and diversified. And the designers will use the 3D design software to create more refined creations, and they will keep designing virtual fashion to be more three-dimensional, textured, and rich in details, which will, again integrate different design elements. So we need to have a law which is not just futuristic, but also holds promising prospects, which protects the creativity and also the vibrant elements of the NFT arts. So each piece of NFT virtual fashion today is a unique artwork. So it is also expanding your digital market, and it is providing income sources for digital creators, right? So that's going to be there, and definitely we need to have a dedicated class for virtual goods in our in our existing laws, which are still very traditional.
Right, that's quite aptly put. Also, the fact that, to address the enforcement, classification, clarity, or let's say even future-proofing IP rights, Arunama, as you were talking about in your presentation, whether it's in the metaverse or the digital economy, the question that Vaishnavi, you also asked, I mean, you can look at class 9 and class 42. So I think class 9 is still used, as far as I remember, for downloadable digital files. So you can see if they're authenticated by NFTs also. In fact, class 42 also involves this technology services involving NFTs. People who've been working for this cohort for a long time know that we make policy recommendations. So we are also working on something to reflect the nuanced nature of the NFT goods and services in the clarity and enforcement part with respect to the digital economy. So that's a very valid question. And I think the answer also sums up the different facets that we need to look at, especially when we're talking about the future of metaverse. Rohit, we'll take your question next, if that's fine, and you can go, please. Thank you. Remember, you don't mind if
Perfect.
I'm not able to switch on my video, right? If you want, I'll just switch
Oh,
on my
that's
video. It's
fine.
just that, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. My question was basically around the idea of fair use. So, along with the boom of the internet, the idea of fair use and the ambassadors for fair use have like gradually increased a lot, and the requirement of a broader policy for fair use was brought in. So, in terms of the metaverse, how do you think this would affect regular usage by, let's say, an average user that may not be aware of the kind of infringements that may or may not be happening? And the monetization around this. Another question that I just had was, you had talked about the passing off of, for example, let's say a Gucci jacket that looks similar to another person's creation. Uh, Being completely digitalized, wouldn't it be easier for somebody to authenticate whether something is genuine or not? Because there can be particular imprints, particular marks that are made on the asset itself that may not be available otherwise. So how do we tackle that? Thank you.
See, when we talk about monetization, right? The one of the distinctive feature of an NFT virtual fashion is that it is personalized design. And because that is, due to the application of digital technology, the design and production process of NFT virtual fashion is more flexible and it's free. So as a fashion designer, you have more, you can design more personalized fashion, which works according to your user's need and preferences. Now, this is the kind of personalized design that can not only meet the user needs and aesthetics, but also improve your artistry or the culture of fashion design. Because we just saw how the virtual reality also affects the real world, right? So when we talk about the NFT virtual fashion, it also brings about more business opportunities. And because there are digital attributes, now fashion designers can target their designs and launch more popular fashion pieces through more accurate market analysis, right? And user data. So you achieve higher business value and revenue. Um, so of course, I mean, there is again, there is also limited edition and scarcity of NFT virtual fashion, which is one of its features. So unlike traditional fashion, NFT virtual fashions are usually released in very limited quantities, and this limited because they're released in limited quantity, it can bring high value and scarcity to the fashion pieces which somebody offers to the public. So therefore, there is a very good chance for getting higher commercial value, and it also enhances the value and recognition of fashion work by users. Does that answer your question, your first question? And your second question was about fair use. See, again, it is all very subjective because we don't have a fixed law as such. And digital game, if you know, is the one of the most widely used areas of NFT virtual fashion. So in traditional games, as player, we only have access to virtual fashion within the game. Now, these virtual fashions cannot be traded or circulated. In contrast, if you see the NFT virtual fashion today, it is based on blockchain technology, which gives the player an ownership and circulation rights, which greatly enriches the player experience within the game. And then, again, in digital games, NFT virtual fashion is usually designed as kind of a decorative item, which is used to dress up the game character and enhance the character's attribute value and appearance. So the better reflecting the player's personalized needs, right? And again, this can't be regarded as a kind of game asset with scarcity or trading value, which can be traded both in game and out of game to realize asset value added and income. So this is still very complex area, and because there is scarcity, there is traditional value, you have in-game, out of game to realize asset, your value added, trading value. So and because we don't have clarity about which user is what is the detail of the user, where that user is actually situated, where the infringement has happened, right? So this is still very gray area, so to say. Plus, the virtual assets are very expensive, so it's not like regular fashion, and therefore you don't see a lot of people in our country at least getting into buying virtual fashion or blockchain, which can be very freely bought, sold, and exchanged as a digital asset. So that's why, because there is no specific statute governing the usage and the rights, where the court will be situated, where do I bring in an action, where do I file my lawsuit. It is still a very gray area, and it will take time for us to understand something as nuanced as fair use. What will not be considered as infringement. I mean, even in traditional space, we see so even if you make an education video where you talk about something which is about law, and you put a background music which is from a movie, you just want a trending music on your reel. Even that is sometimes blocked by Instagram, especially on YouTube. If you see, right, YouTube does that very often, and it's very difficult to make them understand that I am not monetizing on that reel or that content. I'm not claiming that it is mine. All I'm doing is I'm using it as a background music. So imagine this into two times more complexity, and you bring it in the digital world where you are asking people that we don't have a statute yet, we don't have clarity on a lot of specific details, but let's talk about fair use. So it will take time, but of course, a good question. And I think one of the very relevant thing that we should first begin to, I think the first question after understanding what is metaverse, the first and the prima facie, what we need to understand is what is fair use and what is not to be allowed, what would be infringement. So, very good question.
Given the kind of dilemmas that are there, both good and bad days for future lawyers ahead. Amey, you can go next. Thank you so much for answering that, Arunima. Amey, you're next, please. Thank you.
First of all, ma'am, thank you so much for hosting the session, and good evening to you. My question is actually a follow-up based on some of your comments with regards to fair use and market analysis and business opportunities. India, as you know, is currently considered a very important market, especially within Asia right now, given geopolitical tensions for many for many platforms and sellers alike to capture. And within current times, within recent years, especially 24 and 25, we have been seeing increasing amounts of IP litigation both being put forth in the courts of India and being handled with regards to what constitutes passing off and what that they are taxable under the virtual digital assets category, and there's a 30% tax based on them. Maybe both clarifying on the rights, IP rights issues within India and upon how they are classified under law. How would that help in your experience in maybe making India a more attractive market for both digital assets and traditional assets in the IP space?
See, like I said, metaverse as the rise of metaverse has led to the surge of NFT, okay, and the marketplaces that we see where you have artists and collectors who are offering to trade into digital artworks. Now, these marketplaces operate within decentralized ecosystems as of now, most of them. So, meaning that your artists are showcasing and selling their NFT based creations while providing collectors with a space to discover and purchase unique pieces of interest. And one of the key features of NFTs is that every transaction is recorded on blockchain. So, I mean, if you understand how blockchain operates, right? If I want to track how the transaction is done, so I can track the entire transaction history, and that supports copyright protection. I mean, in a much broader scope. So it allows an artist to mint their work as NFTs. Artists can establish, verify ownership on a public ledger, which again serves as a powerful deterrent against unauthorized copying and copyright infringement. And it also provides us a strong legal basis for defending somebody's intellectual property rights. That being said, blockchain, smart contracts, where NFTs allow artists to program royalty mechanism, where a certain percentage of resale proceed in the secondary market, something that was nearly impossible in traditional art transactions. These are this is no longer static. Okay, so it is immersive virtual galleries where you have to get involved, and this is not uh, something which is very easy to understand. I mean, for us as a country, we are still evolving. We are still trying to understand the personalized exhibition spaces. We are still trying to observe how do we allow global audiences to engage with their work in interactive ways. So, and moreover, the NFTs creators, they control how their work is accessed, shared, and monetized in their virtual worlds. So it's not just the government, but it is also the creator of these NFT or digital asset who have to come together to sort of create a framework or a guide, regulation to see how metaverse will be function, and how digital asset in this area would be utilized. So this is still evolving, and it's not. I understand, when you say we are a good opportunity, we are a good market opportunity. We have the fourth largest GDP right now, right? So definitely, India has come a far way from where we were, at least in the last 1 decade, if I may say so. Right. But still, there is a lot more for us to sort of evolve to understand and create a more nuanced environment, especially in something which is as complex as this, so that we are not just protecting the artwork, but we are also allowing the royalty mechanism. We are ensuring a certain percentage of the proceed is going to the original artist.
Right, right.
So
Right. I think that answers the question quite brilliantly. Before we move on to the next one, Sanjay, you're next. Prashant asks a very quick question. I think this can be addressed very briefly. We'll also move towards closing the session soon, so we'll keep the questions to as short as possible. Prashant asks, if we create a poster through AI tools, then will it be protected under copyright laws or not? I'm assuming he's talking about the Indian copyright law.
Look, we had a Suryast matter, right, which was something which was a digital painting created by a lawyer where he got it registered. Then later the registration was revoked. And the challenge was he raised a question saying in copyright there is no revocation mechanism when you're granted that copyright. See, so something which is uniquely created only using AI, something which is only created by using an AI tool, definitely you can't protect it, whether it is in India or anywhere else, even in the US. There needs to be human intervention because there needs to be a certain level of creativity. AI, even today, because I work on a lot of AI, stuff and in that area. So I know there is a certain generic technology which is being used. Okay. And what essentially AI does is it goes to different platforms, collect data from there, collates everything and gives you an output. So there is no originality. And if there is no originality, how do you even protect it? So for if there is a human intervention, US has given copyright protection to certain granted copyright to certain brands wherein a human has created a digital art using an AI tool. So that's a possibility, but not just using AI.
Perfect. I think that sums it up. Sanjay, you want to go next? Very quickly, please keep it short. Thank you.
Um, Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for the session. And being an artist myself, I had a question like regarding in the certain years, like in the recent years, there have been cases regarding the Studio Ghibli style art, and where few people have been commercializing it, recreating the art style and commercializing it. So I had like a question, like what if I create any style of art using kaleidoscope, which is used by artists to design new, to get new designs and patterns. What if by unintentionally I get a design which replicates like a Gucci bag or Nike's one of the shoe designs, and I put it on Metaverse, for example? Will I be liable under the copyright laws of US or India for that reason?
See, digital art such as NFT per se is still not specifically covered under Indian laws. Okay, that's still something that India has not specifically recognized. Okay, uh, but yeah, I mean, NFT is a specific type of digital collection. So here it means you are having a unique form of expression when it comes to digital collection. And in the recent year, you would have seen the digital collection has attracted much attention as compared to the traditional one. And therefore, the related topics also have becoming more and more noticeable, and the number of digital collection enterprises have also gradually increased. The, you know, there is, if I talk about 2013 to 2022, there has been a tremendous increase when it comes to digital art. Okay. Uh, Now, if there is a trend which is undoubtedly telling us that digital artwork and virtual art will have a great development potential in the future. It needs protection. So yes, if you're creating something which has been already registered, at least in the US, you can still register your digital art as under Copyright Act with the same classes. But so infringement happens of something which has been created cross-border, there can still be a lawsuit. If I talk about India, again, it's not like somebody can't go to the court and claim a right of ownership saying that you have infringed the right. But it is not going to be an easy sale for them. It's going to be complex. It's going to be very challenging. Because again, the courts want physical evidences and something which has been infringed online. For you to bring that to an Indian court, it is a little bit of challenging.
Yeah, and I mean it's slippery slope, definitely. I think that answers your question, Sanjay. We'll go to Vidushi next, who had her hand raised for quite some time, and then we'll go to Gurleen, and we'll end up the session. I see more hands. Amya, okay, we'll take Amya also today. Ria, you can just put in your question in the chat. I'll forward it to Arunima, and she will answer your question. I'll send you the answer, okay? If that works. Gurleen followed by, sorry, Vidushi followed by Gurleen and Amya.
My question has already been covered by Sanjay,
Okay,
so
perfect, perfect. Thank you. Gurleen, why don't you go next? Arnima, is it fine if we take the last person also then? Or will
Yeah,
that
sure,
be
please.
perfect? Okay,
No,
Gurleen, go
that's
on.
fine. That's fine.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for such a great session. So my question is regarding the Nike and StockX matter. So recently, Nike sued StockX for selling NFT versions of its sneakers without permission. So which made me wonder if someone takes a real world sneaker design, say a limited edition Nike, and recreates it in metaverse with a few small changes like color or sole shape. How do we legally decide whether it's a new original creation or still an infringement? Where do we draw that line between being inspired by and outright copying in the digital space?
See, when you talk about NFT virtual fashion, right, it integrates other digital assets. For example, you can have your decorations, you can have your props, you can have other elements, and that's just to create a more unique and a rich virtual world experience. Uh, but then, when I am creating a digital asset, I am also creating an image for the brand, because somebody might get confused that it is originally by Nike, and somebody would buy it as a substitute for in-game props, or something, that they would buy as a virtual fashion token, and they would want to sell it especially in the digital world, to get more a certain percentage on it, right? Certain amount from it, because it's a more diversified uh, ecosystem. And overall, more so because virtual NFT as virtual fashion as a new type of digital asset has many unique features and advantages. So you have a personalized design, you have a limited edition, you are creating scarcity because you want others to interact with your product. And not just your product, you're also offering users to interact with the other elements of the product. So NFT virtual fashion, it brings a very personalized and richer experience of the virtual world, as well as more business opportunities and revenue for fashion designers or digital asset operators. Now, that being said, if I was the brand, I'll definitely bring a lawsuit against the person who is infringed, because you are realizing a commercial benefit on something which has been inspired or been copied, or at least has a similar appearance as a real product. So while you may say that, it is just a part of a game asset, or it's just a player's need, this is not a real life infringement, but you are still generating some income through the sale, right? So therefore, if you are generating business, if you are creating an image which can be confused with the brand that I already have, this which is deceptively similar to Nike, then of course there is a risk of infringement suit and lawsuit that can be brought. And again, the centralized platform and the decentralized platform, where are you actually offering it? If there is a decentralized, virtual world, then again, you are free to display content, you are free to include your building artwork, games, whatever, or social venues. But so it's difficult to track the person who is infringed. But in a centralized ecosystem, it's much more easier, because there is one person, one owner, one boss who is controlling everything when it comes to these kind of innovation, these kind of mechanism, and these kind of fitness, these kind of fun and rewards of the games, or the product that you're offering.
Right. Who do we have next? I think it was Amia and Ria. I see a few questions in the chat. Bharti, we'll take your question to ma'am directly. I see Aditi also asking your questions. We'll take these two questions towards the end. Okay. Amia, why don't you ask your question now? Amia, and followed by Ria. Arunima, is that good enough? We can end the session on that note. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
Amia,
that's
please
fine.
go on with your question. Amia, you aren't audible. I think, at least to me, you aren't. Can anybody hear him? No. Okay. Try again. It's okay. Why don't we go to Ria? Amia, you can just sort this out and then ask your question once Ria does it, so that you have time also. Perfect. Ria, if you can hear me, please go on with your question.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
You're audible.
Yes. Hi, ma'am. It's such a pleasure to actually hear a lecture from you again. I had attended one of your earlier lectures on media and entertainment law as well. So I have two or three questions. So first of all, in the context of AI-generated fashion, if an artist collaborates with an AI to create a piece, can they still claim moral rights over the final output, especially regarding attribution and the right to maintain the integrity of the work? Second, uh, will the metaverse blur the line between fashion as a cultural product and as intellectual property? And last question, can traditional copyright concepts like fixation and originality be effectively applied to 3D fashion assets in the metaverse? Thank you.
You want to blend these in, or you want to answer them separately?
Okay, let me blend it in. That will be easier. See, the convergence of NFT, virtual fashion, or metaverse is today reshaping how we perceive clothing, identity, and self-expression, especially in the digital world. So, if that is happening, the transformation is not just aesthetic, it is legal, it is commercial, and it's technological. Now, when I'm creating something which is a clothing designed to be worn in digital environment, and it is created using augmented reality filters and metaverse spaces, unlike the reality, these are used to dress the avatars that I have to enhance my virtual experience. Okay. And the NFT is to authenticate and tokenize your digital fashion pieces, meaning they are unique, they are ownable, and they're tradable. So you have a sell limited edition digital garments. Now, if you can prove ownership, you can resell these assets and you can earn royalties when there is a resale transaction. Uh, so, of course, I mean, the law will, cover it in the same way, which is how we cover, protect our traditional assets that's there. Because if you've seen today, there is branded virtual gear by Gucci or Burberry or homegrown digital designers who are trying to reflect their style. Um, so again, this is when I talk about India or anywhere. Let's understand it from a legal aspect. So one is who actually owns the IP right. I mean, who is owning the underlying design, whether it is artist, platform, or buyer. So if there is an artist who has created it, again, moral right, there is no specific statute that I have come across or regulation which is only based on metaverse or digital asset as of now. So very gray area for model right. But in US, if you have seen, US allows you to waive off certain model rights. So when I take IP right from somebody, even in the traditional space, I ask them to waive off their model rights. In India, that is not allowed. Okay. But again, once we have a specific regulation, we'll have more clarity on whether this is something which is going to be similar even for the digital asset, or is it going to be something which is more US oriented. Okay. When I talk about copyright, it has to be specifically and clearly stated in your metadata or smart contract. If you are selling NFT for personal use license or commercial right, then there has to be licensing, and smart contracts can they can allow you to embed resale royalties. But again, these enforceability also depends on your platform rules and jurisdiction. So something, let's say, which is Meta. Okay, if you're selling something on Meta and you are governed by US laws, then your enforceability will be very different from something which is India specific, okay, or Dubai specific, UAE specific, right? Uh, so that's about the model right, and that's about the protection which is there. And again, there are a lot of business opportunities. I mean, luxury brands are launching exclusive drops in collaboration with NFT designers, and these are only fashion labels are emerging with zero physical inventory. So when you have your AR try-ons or filters, they actually allow users to showcase virtual clothes on social media. And if I talk about gamified commerce, it is letting user earn and unlock fashion NFTs and metaverse platform. So But again, there is no clear regulation, especially in our country. There are emerging concerns related to blockchain minting. You have consumer confusion about rights and access. I may have uh, right to something, but can I have this full-fledged access as well to that asset? Is something which is very gray area. And then cross-platform compatibility. Can I sell something on Meta and also try and offer it on Decentraland or Snapchat or let's say LinkedIn? If tomorrow LinkedIn chooses to allow people to have digital avatars, can I still offer it there? So India, as of now, does not have a metaverse specific or NFT specific regulation, and digital fashion falls under your IP law, IT rules, Copyright Act. Uh, but then it also depends on platforms because they need to have implement clear terms of use. You need to have a this very strong contract, and there has to be strong metadata. Your consumer should be able to verify authenticity and rights before buying. So there is a lot of angle to this concept as such, right? And it's not something which is as simple as it sounds, because there is a fusion of technology, there is creativity, there is business and commerce, and there is law. So your both digital and physical worlds, they merge, and our legal framework across the globe have to evolve to support innovation while protecting rights. Does that
You're right.
answer your question, or?
No, I think
Yes, ma'am.
that quite adequately answers the question. Amya, you want to go next? The final question for this session. Arnama, thank you so much. By the way, I have to extend a thankful note to you post he asks you the question, but the clarity and conviction in which you are answering all these questions, I mean, we did not have to take so many questions, but you've not shied away from any one of them. And to be fair, I mean, this is one of the most complex areas or subject of laws that we are currently dealing with across the world, not just India. So this is something that is, commendable. And Amya, your final question for the session today. Amya, you're still not audible. Why don't you just put it
Do
out
you
of the
want to
chat
chat
box?
and
Yeah, and we'll take the question
yes.
later. It's okay. Thank you so much. We'll note the questions, both Aditi, Bharti, and then finally Amya. We'll note your questions. Arunima, I just have to put it out there. You're truly one of those rare individuals. I think, like I was saying, it's one of the most complex and layered topics, and it feels like a breeze. Because I mean, even I take a step back. When I'm hosting you, I sort of feel like there's so much to explore and learn, especially within the areas that, so most of us who practice, or our students, they've been dealing with the traditional parts of law, as one would say, for quite some time. Everybody's been taught CPC, CRPC, IPC. Now obviously with names changed, they're reading about the arbitration act, the company law, and whatnot. But I mean, today's session is one of the most difficult subjects I think we've explored. And like it said, yet with the clarity and confidence that you've navigated it, I'm sure the conversation was not just insightful. I think it was remarkably easy to follow also. So at no point was I feeling that, there is sort of a loss of track of what you're just saying. And to be fair, I've hosted my fair share of shows and events. I don't recall the number, to be fair. And I have the privilege of interacting with many sort of brilliant minds, but very few leave the kind of impression that you do. That's why exactly I had to call you back. It was mandatory because some voices just stand out. By the way, Arnuma is also writing a book, which I feel is almost complete. And I genuinely hope it reaches the audience it deserves and goes on to become a bestseller through this platform. And I think if it reflects even a portion of the clarity and depth that you've brought to this session, I don't think there'll be any doubt in the book making a significant and a lasting impact. So thank you so much. I rarely, take a minute to just thank you and thank a speaker in so much details. But genuinely, the session was really, really very insightful. And I'll share the presentations with them. And let me just switch on my video also. Any concluding notes? I don't think the video is gonna show up, but any concluding notes, anything else that you have to say, and we'll end the session on that note, please.
think I've said enough. I just hope that it wasn't boring for anybody who's attending this session. And my intent was to sort of talk about why metaverse has been developing, why there is so much popularization of NFT. Not a lot of people are, or I don't see a lot of legal influencers also talking about NFT virtual fashion, and it has a great potential. It's not a decorative item in digital games and social platforms today. It is a collection value. It has a cultural connotation. So there is an unlimited creative possibilities, and it will continue to stimulate our imagination and promote the innovation and development of fashion design and digital art. So if you are somebody who is looking to have a career in gaming, social art, or fashion, and any other field to become a more diversified and complex, in a more diversified and complex ecology, especially fashion ecology. NFT fashion will show you a more broader prospect and a more desirable future, at least in the future development. So definitely it's one area that if you're interested, you should definitely, go for it and read more about it. Uh, there are certain good articles as well which have already been written, some books which are already been written by people in global, from different countries. More so, I have seen a lot of Chinese nationals writing about this NFT and fashion design under the development of NFT per se. So and I hope the session wasn't again not boring, because I personally do not I've attended as a student a lot of sessions, and I would not want to be part of something wherein it will be very monotonous or very bookish. I've always wanted to learn something new, something which is not being taught to me in my class or at the internship. So something new, right? It's just a combination of everything that you bring to the table as a lawyer.
Perfect, perfect. And I mean, I can guarantee you that if it was something like that, then we have the best students who would not take even more than a minute to drop out, despite the fact that there is a lot at stake. This is just sharing her last slide. You can reach out to her on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can follow her also. She enjoys a very good social media presence. Creates a lot of content on both YouTube, LinkedIn. She has a good newsletter. You can follow it. And then I think on Instagram as well. Arnima, if that is accurately put, I think we can end the session on that note.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Perfect.
this.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Please stay back. Arunama, you can leave the session. I have a few things to discuss with them since their assessment is coming up. And thank you so much. I think I've spoken quite a bit today on the speaker as well. But yeah, it was really, really a wonderful session. And thank you for everyone who still stayed back. I see a lot of you still have your videos on. I really appreciate that. Because like she said, it can get a little once you have asked your question, especially if you're a student, no, you feel like, okay, now my part is done. As my question, let me just switch off my video and chill around. But I see the dedication and absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Arunama. Thank you for the session.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
you can take our leave. Thank you. I think she's left. Sorry for the video errors that are going on. But okay. Irrespective, yeah. So for some people who did not hear the first part of the session, you are going to be having a client counseling come negotiation competition this upcoming weekend. Okay. So the details, the rules, everything will be shared to you. You can use artificial intelligence to make your opening statements. The format and how to go about it will also be shared with you. I either will do a live session because some of us are working right now, and so it'll be a little difficult to sort of host a live session on a weekday. And since the cohort was also promised to be more on the weekend, I prefer to do a recorded session because that ways anyone can access it at any point that they want to. Wherein we can also talk a little bit about branding, per se, and we can talk about how to go about this session. Okay. So if you have any questions post watching that recording, you can approach me before your competition begins. The competition will be mentored and judged by a SIAC accredited arbitrator. Somebody from the SIAC community might also join us. Let me just